我就是花果山水帘洞齐天大圣妖王孙悟空。
Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. Excuse my voice, I'm coming down with a bit of a cold I think, so I know that my voice sounds a little bit off, so I apologize for that, but I couldn't resist making this video. Sun Wukong. I absolutely love the hero skin that's come to For Honor, but more than that, I absolutely love the character. I'm enjoying playing him because I just love the opportunity to be able to create Sun Wukong myself and make my own Monkey King. It's been a blast. But for some of you, you might be wondering just who is this character? Who is Sun Wukong? Many of you have probably heard his name before, as he's an incredibly popular figure in East Asian literature and media. His story and character have been an inspiration for shonen anime, including Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, and Ranma 1/2. I mean, there's no question that Wukong has left a mark on the world, but most people genuinely don't know who this guy is other than just the name. Who is Sun Wukong? What has he done? What is he capable of? Today we're going to answer that question so you can all see just why I love this character. We're only going to briefly summarize Wukong's story here, but if you want the full story on the Monkey King, I'm currently reading Journey to the West in its entirety on my second channel, Raven's Writing Room. Go give it a listen if you're interested in the full audio reading of the book that he comes from. But now, who is the Monkey King? Sun Wukong's given name means Monkey Awakened to Emptiness, but he has many names and titles. He's known as the Monkey King, the Great Sage Equal to Heaven, Monkey Disciple, Stone Ape of the Mountains of Flowers and Fruit, Monkey of Emptiness, the Demon Monkey, the Immortal King of the Macaques, etc. Whatever title you choose to give, what Sun Wukong is actually something extraordinary. He's no mere monkey, but a product of heaven and earth born from an ancient stone that has been nourished by the heavens and earth for hundreds of thousands of years. He is an intelligent, cunning, and powerful entity who shook the very heavens themselves with his wrath. During his training to become an immortal, Sun Wukong mastered several magical powers that make him near unrivaled in both deception and combat. He is capable of transforming his body into anything on earth, be it man, woman, animal, plant, or object. He can soar on clouds and somersault thousands of miles. He has eyes able to see through demonic illusions and perceive the true nature of things around him. He can clone himself using the hairs on his body and is a master martial artist. But perhaps his most important trait of all is his immortality. To say that Wukong is immortal is kind of like saying the beach is a bit sandy. I mean, you're not wrong, but you haven't fully grasped the full picture of it. Sun Wukong has become immortal various times over. Initially, he cultivated his conduct by learning under an immortal Taoist who taught him to avoid death as well as giving him his name. But later, he went beyond just this. He broke into the palace of hell and struck his own name out of the Book of the Dead, thus freeing him from ever being taken to the underworld. He would go on to eat the immortal peaches of heaven and also drank the sacred elixir of immortality created by Lao Tzu, all of which he did in complete opposition to and defiance of heaven itself. When heaven finally did manage to capture Wukong, and believe me, that was no small feat, they could find no execution method to kill him. No means of man or gods was enough to slay Sun Wukong. They even threw him into Lao Tzu's 8-trigram crucible, a giant cauldron that's created to extract immortal elixir and burn away impurities, hoping it would extract the immortality out of Sun Wukong and kill him in the process. But all it did was royally piss off Wukong, turning his eyes into a fiery red color. Only the Buddha himself was able to finally subdue and capture Wukong by sealing him under a mountain until such a time as he could earn redemption. It's clear that Wukong is not a warrior that can or should be trifled with. His strength, speed, and cunning are enough that even heaven itself struggled against him, and demons everywhere fear the name of Wukong. But Wukong is not without weapons and armor. Wukong's most famous weapon is his Ruyi Jingu Bang, which means the compliant golden banded staff. This is no ordinary staff. Before Wukong got his hands on it, it was a mighty pillar used to hold up the Milky Way and maintain stability of the oceans. When Wukong approached it, it glowed at his approach and responded to his commands. The Ruyi Jingu Bang is capable of growing and shrinking in size, allowing Wukong to carry it under his ear before pulling it out to cudgel his opponents with it. Also, don't believe just anyone can wield this weapon. The weapon, at its normal length and size, clocked in at 13,500 pounds, and even the dragon god Ao Shun could not move it. Meanwhile, Wukong wields it as though it were an ordinary staff. The implication in this is Wukong's strength is beyond that of ordinary beings, even some of the gods. Only a rare few are capable of fighting Wukong in combat, such as the legendary warrior god Erlang Shen. Along with his weapon, Sun Wukong also wears a special set of armor given to him by the 4 dragons of the northern, southern, eastern, and western seas. He has a set of cloud-walking boots, golden chainmail which makes him invulnerable to conventional weapons, and a phoenix feather cap. It should be noted, though, that most of his armor is purely decorative to Sun Wukong, as he can already walk on clouds without the boots, and after surviving Lao Tzu's 8 Trigram Crucible Cauldron, his body became almost completely indestructible. However, Sun Wukong is one who does care about his appearance, so he likes to wear the outfit anyway. But Wukong is not without weaknesses. Despite all of his strength, the Monkey King can be bested in certain areas, though perhaps these areas are a bit unconventional. When the Buddhist monk Tang Xuanzang frees Wukong from his mountain prison to make him his disciple on his journey to the west, so to control him, the goddess Guanyin gives Xuanzang a magical golden headband to put on Wukong's head. This headband has become iconic of Wukong, despite it being Wukong's greatest weakness. The headband cannot be removed by anyone, and when Xuanzang recites a special prayer, the band will tighten painfully around Wukong's head, causing him incredible agony. Xuanzang uses this to keep Wukong under control and obedient, much to the Monkey King's frustration. Further still, Wukong isn't as proficient at fighting underwater, meaning he doesn't usually follow his enemies into rivers or lakes when they try to hide there. But Wukong's other weakness is his own vanity and pride. Wukong never backs down from a challenge, and will willingly disobey Xuanzang's wishes if he feels it best suits him or his interests, earning him the reproach and punishment of his master more often than not. But despite his ego and weaknesses, Wukong is not without emotion or feeling. Wukong has proven to be a very loyal disciple to Tan Xuanzang, even returning to his master after being dismissed thanks to a misunderstanding. He cares deeply about the monk and longs to redeem himself as well as accomplish his goal to obtain Buddhahood. It's not just his raw strength and magical powers that draws to Wukong. Believe it or not, Journey to the West can actually be seen as an allegorical story about the human condition and quest, as each of the main characters embodies an aspect of humanity on our journey through life. Xuanzang represents the common man, helpless and frail by himself, but the one with the conviction and will and destiny to fulfill. Zhu Bajie, or Pigsy as he's sometimes called, represents base human nature, the desire to fulfill selfish wants, to eat, sleep, drink, and have sex. We as humans prefer to listen to our selfish nature much more than anything else, which is why, despite Pigsy being the most unreliable of the group, Xuanzang often listens to Pigsy over Wukong in almost every instance, showing how humanity is prone to fall for our baser nature. Sha Wujing, sometimes called Sandy, represents human contentment and complacency. This isn't to say that he's a waste of skin like Bajie, but he is not interested in putting forth more effort than necessary. In a word, he's just slothful. He's a follower and does whatever Sun Wukong and Xuanzang think is best. This means that he's agreeable but lacks agency, much how those of us who decide to simply follow others never tend to stand out. And the dragon horse represents the physical body. As he takes the form of a horse for Xuanzang to ride, he is the physical vessel of our journey through our mortal lives. Unremarkable, but essential for our journey. So, with all that said, what is Wukong? Wukong is the mind. The mind is the most powerful force a human has to offer, with its ability to create, desire, contemplate, discover, and solve that which it sees. We discuss mind over matter quite often, and you'd be surprised just what your mind can do when you put it to work. This is why Wukong is the most powerful entity in the story aside from Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. Wukong is the embodiment of the most powerful weapon of man, the mind. But just like the mind, Wukong is prone to its weaknesses, to wander, to rage, to be restless, to be selfish, to worry, to doubt. Every sin the mind is capable of. This is why, of the disciples of Xuanzang, Wukong is the one feared and hated most by heaven, the one who waged war against heaven so fiercely and violently. To truly reach his full potential, Wukong must rid himself of these weaknesses and open himself up to emptiness, as his name implies. When Wukong is awakened to emptiness, realizing the true nature of the world and the universe, and open himself to the true power he represents, he can, and does, obtain enlightenment. Even if you don't fully appreciate who Sun Wukong is as a symbol or a journey, you of course will appreciate him as a reference. Several of your favorite shonen anime characters were inspired by Sun Wukong and his abilities. Naruto Uzumaki, for example, from the anime Naruto, is a wild and uncontrollable boy, but with impressive repressed powers. Two of his signature abilities are his clone jutsu and his transformation jutsu, both of which Sun Wukong was famous for. In fact, Naruto's use of the sexy jutsu, a technique where he becomes an attractive woman to deceive or manipulate men, is something Wukong has done as well.
よし。
Monkey D. Luffy of One Piece is himself on a journey around the world to achieve his destiny and, as he goes, is learning more and more about the true nature of the world and himself. Aside from his first name being Monkey, Luffy is constantly causing trouble for the Marines. In fact, he's the most noted and feared threat to the world government, much like how Wukong was the greatest threat to heaven during his rebellion. In fact, in one of the famous scenes in Marineford where Luffy jumps a giant wall carrying a huge pillar, the way he landed and stood there reminded me a great deal of Sun Wukong and his staff confronting the leaders of heaven. And of course, Son Goku is an obvious reference right down to his name. Son Goku is the Japanese translation of Sun Wukong, both meaning monkey awakened to emptiness. In the original Dragon Ball story, all the characters were meant to represent Journey to the West characters. Goku was Sun Wukong, Bulma was Zhuangzhang, Yamcha was Sha Wujing, Oolong was Zhu Baijie, and Puar was the Dragon Horse. They were on a quest to find the Dragon Balls to get a wish, just as Zhuangzhang and his disciples were on a quest to discover enlightenment. Son Goku's power pole is actually a reference to Wukong's own Ru Yi Jingu Bang, and the Nimbus he rides is just like the somersault clouds that Wukong would ride. Even Goku's weakness, his tail, was a reference to the headband that was Wukong's own weakness, as squeezing Goku's tail was enough to leave him invulnerable, as the squeezing headband was enough to bring down Wukong. There are various other stories in anime you could look at if you tried hard enough, because Sun Wukong, though a creation of Chinese folklore and legend, has influenced all of the East Asian world. Now that he's finally come to For Honor, I have to wonder what the writers will do with him. It's obvious his nemesis here is Bai Gujing, the White Bone Demon, but their interaction in Journey to the West was only one chapter in length in Chapter 27. I will make a full video regarding their lore, and I will compare it to the actual story when the time is right. But for now, I think we can conclude this video on who Sun Wukong is. I hope you found this enjoyable, and again, if you want to hear the full Journey to the West book, I am currently reading it through on my second channel, Raven's Writing Room. And if you want to design your Sun Wukong skin to be as close to the original lore as possible, I made a video on how to do that as well. In either case, I hope you enjoy this new skin as much as I am. I'll see you guys on the battlefield, and of course, I will see you in my next video. Take care.
记住，我才是这个世界上